Tutorial 8 roof structures columns. We're going to be creating these columns here. There's 4 on the south side of the building. The anchor point is to the center of the column. The square columns that come right up to meet the roof that we've just put in. And then we're going to extend the paving out just past the columns. So let's go into put some guidelines in first. Bring the guidelines in from the outside. Just snap them to the outside of the building. There. And let's place one at the bottom here. Now let's move these guidelines. The bottom guideline needs to come out 2 meters. So just come out, type in 2000. And the ones on the side are going to come in from the outside. It's 300 millimeters. So just come in a bit. And once you see the tab, 300, enter. Then from this side, 300, enter. Now this gives us at the bottom here our intersection point. So that's going to be the center of our first column. And this point here is going to be the center of our 4th column. We're going to spread 4 columns out along that guideline here. Let's select column in our toolbox and go into the settings. I'm going to change a few of these settings. First one at the top here, we need to select not linked. We don't want the height to be linked to anything. We're going to type in our height here. And the height of our column, we'll just type in 3150. 3 meters, 150 high. And what we need to do is go into the ground. We don't want it sitting on the ground. Now in reality, the post would go in and be concreted in. We're just going to go -50. So it goes in below ground zero, comes down -50. Okay, we're going to make it a square column. We'll change the size to 200 by 200. The other one should change. So there's our column. And the building material we're going to use is timber structural, which is there. And it's going to be vertical, not slanted. And the anchor point, make sure the anchor point is selected to the center of the column. It's going to be our anchor point. And for model, let's change it to plasterboard yellow. We want what we had for the roof was timber pine. It was timber pine. Now it's not horizontal timber, it's a vertical timber. So let's go with the grain up and down, so it's vertical. So timber pine grain vertical. And notice it's on its own column layer. Press OK. Now I'm going to zoom up a bit here so you can see what I'm doing. Now here's our guidelines there, 2 meters long there, 300 in here. Now we're going to place the post in on the left hand side first. So select that intersection point of the guidelines and there's our post. Now we want to come out of the column settings now. Select the arrow cursor, then select our post. We're going to multiply that post and drag it along the guideline. So we need to right click on the post now, go to move and come down here to multiply. Now a box will come up, we need to make a few more selections. We're going to drag the post, we're going to drag them along. And the number of copies of that post, we want 4 posts, 4 columns. So we need 3 extra copies. That'll give us 4 columns. We want to just distribute in between these 2 guidelines. So we want to pull 3 columns along. And that should be okay. So press OK there. Now what we do is just click on the center of the column. And you can drag down to the intersection point. We want to go right into the center, click, and there our columns have been distributed and inserted. If we go into 3D view, we can see here our columns. Let's hit the orbit tool. You can see our columns are distributed there, looking good. Now notice they're not touching the roof at the top because we need to put a beam in, but we need to extend this paving here. So get out of the orbit tool, select the arrow, we need to select the paving. Just click on the edge of the paving so the pet palette comes up. In the pet palette we need to select offset edge, and as we drag that edge out, palette's in the way. As we drag that edge out, we want to come out 2 meters. So we type in 2000, enter. And there it is. We've extended our paving out and the posts are going underneath. Notice the vertical grain on the post. Now we're going to put in some rafters and some beams up into the roof to finish our structure.